Combine Eminem and a cute 2D waifu, you get Rappa. With her name literally sounding as the same as her identity, which is a rapper, version 2.6's livestream greets us with the lovely ninja from the hood. This is like the most random combination you can think of though, a rapping ninja girl. Well, I guess it's kind of been done before. Hello internet! And today I'll be breaking down all the new banners and helping you decide which banners to go for. Let's just start with an overview. We will only be seeing one new 5-star banner, one rerun for the first phase, and only reruns for the second phase as well. No new 5-star in the second phase. It's likely because that it is the holiday season for Hoyo, which hey, I don't mind since we get more time to save for our summons. Therein lies the question though. Should you spend your summons on Rappa and say save for the others, or vice versa? Let's break it down. Firstly, Rappa is a 5-star imaginary character following the path of her edition. To conclude, she's an AoE break DPS. Generally explaining what she does, you want to use her ultimate, which allows her to use her enhanced basic. This is when she gets ignored weakness and she breaks the enemy with increased efficiency. Upon breaking them, that is where you do a bunch of damage. These enhanced basics are all blast damage, with the last hit being an AoE attack, meaning to say Rappa's main shtick is to deal with multiple AoE enemies. With that said, you should already know exactly how to play Rappa and what her best team are. It is obviously going to be the good old break team with Harmony MC. Honestly, can I just say, this is extremely weird to me how Hoyo constantly releases break related supports for DPS. Perhaps it would change soon though in 2.7, but it is though for this exact reason that you may not find a need for Rappa. If you're looking for a single target breaker, you got Boot Hill. If you're looking for a mix of single and multi-target, you have Firefly. Do you really need a specific break DPS in AoE scenarios though? Well, that's what we're here to find out. To understand that better, let's take a look at the game's state. Currently, we have three main endgame, namely MOC, Apocalyptic Shadow, and Pure Fiction. Rappa is definitely designed to be played in Pure Fiction, where there are constant waves with multiple targets. She can definitely perform in Apocalyptic Shadow as well, but it will depend on the mechanics of the bosses. The case is the same for MOC as well. To put it bluntly, if you pull Rappa, you can beat everything with the right team with enough investments. But even then, you won't be the fastest in especially Apoc Shadow and MOC. However, that is the case with 99% of the 5-stars in the game anyway. You can still beat everything with units of the olden times like Jing Yuan, you just need enough investments. Long story short, you pull Rappa if you love her and is willing to invest in her. That is the best recommendation. However, if you're looking for a more universal character that can beat everything quick and easy, you, well, firstly would not have missed Phase Xiao, and you can still think about pulling for the coming Acheron rerun in Phase 2. More on that later though. Going back to Rappa, most people are saying she's a filler character that no one should pull for. I for one still think she's just like most non-game breaking tier characters. You pull her if you love her, especially with her cool first-person POV on her attacks, dude. It is so sick. However, if you're straight meta talk, Rappa is certainly not a game-breaking one-of-a-kind character. So if you're a player that chases the peaks of the game, Rappa is certainly not a character you would go for. As for newer players, you always obey the rule of getting 2 sustains, then supports, and only then worry about your DPS. Which is why, as a conclusion, Rappa is generally not a high priority character. Get her if you love her, she can still function in places she's designed to be good at, and with enough investments, you can beat anything else. In terms of the meta though, Rappa should be really good in Pure Fiction, but in every other mode, she wouldn't be that prominent. Do make your decision based on that. Moving up, let's talk about all the reruns, which we see Dan Heng along with Rappa in the first phase, followed by Acheron and Aventurine on the second phase. Generally speaking, you should think about 2.7 strip marketed characters in Sunday and Undead Tingen first before thinking about any reruns. Which, well, what can I say? They are too attractive to say no to now. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly what they do yet, so the real smartest thing to do is to wait for their information first before dumping your summons in anything. The consensus currently though is to skip everything and wait for Sunday, which should be a broken Harmony 5-star just like his peers that came before. But let's dive deeper though. The best advice is always pull for who you love, but in terms of meta talk, Dan Heng, which is the first to come as a rerun banner, is still a high tier DPS that can be decent in every mode, with the only issue being the high skill point cost though. This issue is resolved by pairing him with Sparkle, but well, you may or may not own her. Do note though, Dill is less prominent now compared to another rerun banner in Phase 2 with a similar role, which is Acheron. Acheron is a tier higher in every mode with raw high numbers and damage output compared to Dan Heng, but she does need a proper team with a good amount of debuffs. Fortunately, there are free options like Pella that you can immediately pair as one of her best allies, which is why I recommend going for Acheron if you're strictly going for meta. She's easy to pair a team with, she's immensely strong with raw damage output, and she's top tier in every mode there is. She's the dream DPS that you only have to invest once and you have someone to crutch on no matter what. But then it is worth worrying about the fact that, say, what if Undead Tingyan is just a better DPS? Which is why for phase 2 characters, it's always wiser to wait for information first before you decide anyway. Going on whatever information we have now though, Acheron is still a really solid choice that you will not find her being power crapped anytime soon. Hence, if you're thinking about going for Dill's rerun, and if you need a versatile DPS, it is worth considering to just go for Acheron instead. After that, save your wait till Sunday and enjoy. If you already have an established account, the only real consideration would be their Eidolons or Lightcones, both of which I don't really suggest unless you really love these characters. Cause here's the deal. Ultimately, E0 S0 of any limited 5-star with decent investment is enough to max star everything, which is why Eidolons are mostly just up to preference. If you're going for the Eidolons, I recommend E2 on both Dill or Acheron. They contribute to huge increase in value. And if you're wondering about Lightcones, both are valuable, especially with the stats that they give. Hence, go ahead and pull them if you're lacking in the stats department in your current build, or if you're wishing for the highest peak. In my opinion, E2 certainly holds higher value than getting their own Lightcone, but the problem is, well, you gotta pull 2. If you're only willing to pull 1, go ahead and get their Lightcones. The stats are gonna be really good to bring more consistency to your damage output. Well, it kind of depends on what are the issues of your current build though. For example, Acheron's E1 gives her crit rate, so work off of that information. With that said, we will cover the last banner now, which is the Aventurine rerun that happens with Acheron. Now, this one's interesting because although he's a sustain, you can consider waiting to see what are the next reruns first, and then decide if you want to get him as your sustain. I say that because though he's really good at keeping you alive and can be skill point positive even, you can't quite heal and you can't be entirely immune to crowd control unless you build your whole team specifically for it. I prefer sustains with healing and cleansing for newer players since you can recover from any mishaps. If you already have an established account though, you don't really need Aventurine. If you can't survive, you're good. The only part worth thinking about would be for follow-up attack mains that is just missing Aventurine. Should you be going for Aventurine? My recommendation is still, if you can't survive, you don't need him. He does make your team better though. But then again, considering the coming characters in Sunday and Revive Tingyan potentially changing the whole meta, I personally would suggest just saving. I get a feeling that they are going to be really strong. And in the end, hey, you can always wait until the official stream that reveals their kit and then decide if you want to go for Aventurine. And with that will be all for this video. I hope I helped you out. Good luck on whichever banner you end up going for and let me know what you'll be pulling. Take care.